Thanks for joining me this week. I'm Will Jordan, and this is your Southeastern Cattle Market Report for the states of Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Alabama livestock auctions for the week ending July 13th, 2024 had receipts totaling 12,970 head across 16 markets. No sales were held last week due to the 4th of July, so there's no comparison available there. However, there were 12,966 head sold this week a year ago, marking a 4-head difference year over year. Year-to-date receipts totaling 261,875, a decrease from 309,575 head a year ago. The supply included 80% feeder cattle, 48% of those were heifers, 16% slaughter cattle, and 4% replacement cattle. Feeder cattle over 600 pounds made up 23% of the segment. Feeder steers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, were $315 to $395. 400 to 500 pounds brought $280 to $342, 500 to 600 pounds brought $253 to $324, and 600 to 700 pounds brought $233 to $287. Looking at the feeder heifers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds were $270 to $360, 400 to 500 pounds were $247 to $310, 500 to 600 pounds $235 to $287 and a half, 600 to 700 pounds $210 to $256. Slaughter cows, boning 80 to 85% lean, 850 to 1,200 pounds, brought from 129 to 147. Lean cows, 85 to 90% lean, 850 to 1,200 pounds, 111 to 139. Slaughter bulls, yield grade 1 and 2, 1,500 to 2,100 pounds, brought 153 to 179. That's your market report for the state of Alabama. And now let's take a look at Georgia. Georgia livestock auctions for the week ending July 13th, 2024 had receipts totaling 10,154 head. As mentioned, there were no sales last week because of the July 4th holiday, so there's no weekly comparison. However, there were 9,642 head sold this week a year ago, marking a 512 head difference year over year. Year-to-date receipts total 214,980. That's a decrease from 235,525 head a year ago. The supply included 76% feeder cattle, 43% of those being heifers, 18% slaughter cattle, and 7% replacement cattle. The feeder cattle supply over 600 pounds was 16%. Feeder steers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds brought 295 to 435, 400 to 500 pounds brought 235 to 375, 500 to 600 pounds 230 to 305, 600 to 700 pounds 225 to 265. Looking at feeder heifers, medium and large frames, 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, 228 to 365, 400 to 500 pounds, 225 to 330, 500 to 600 pounds, 190 to 275, 600 to 700 pounds, 185 to 245. Slaughter cows, boning 80 to 85% lean. Those 850 to 1,200 pound cows were 127 to 151. Lean cows, 85 to 90% lean, were 850 to 1,200 pounds. That's 110 to 141. Slaughter bulls, yield grade 1 and 2s, 1,000 to 2,100 pounds. That's 153 to 160. Now taking a look at Florida. Florida livestock auctions for the week ending July 13th, 2024 had receipts totaling 7,713 head. Once again, no sales last week because of July the 4th, so there's no weekly comparison. However, there were 8,676 head sold this week a year ago, marking a 963 head difference year over year. Year-to-date receipts total 161,419, a decrease from 172,167 a year ago. The supply included 75% feeder cattle, 49% of those were heifers, 23% slaughter cattle, and 2% replacement cattle. Feeder cattle over 600 pounds made up 4% of the market. Feeder steers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, brought 272 to 357.50, 400 to 500 pounds, brought 250 to 340, 500 to 600 pounds, 250 to 310, 600 to 700 pounds, 210 to 280. Feeder heifers, medium and large frame 1s and 2s, 300 to 400 pounds, brought 245 to 336, 400 to 500 pounds, brought 240 to 312, 500 to 600 pounds, brought 219 to 277, 600 to 700 pounds, brought 208 to 255. Slaughter cows in Florida brought, those boning 80 to 85% lean, 850 to 1,200 pounds, those were 120 to 150. Lean cows, 85 to 90% lean, 850 to 1,200 pounds, brought 85 to 134. Slaughter bulls, yield grade 1, 1,000 to 2,100 pounds brought 147 to 179. Kind of looking at the market, while analysts had projected some heifer retention kind of as we move into this year, there's been some rain, and there's been some rain kind of seen on and off from Hurricane Beryl this past week. The recent trend of dry weather appears to have encouraged producers to continue selling those young heifers. So we may have a little, this market of high prices may continue for a while longer. Thanks again for joining me. I'm Will Jordan. Keep feeding the world.